What up, YouTube? Been a minute. Let's have a beer or two together. Miller High Life. How's everybody doing? My few to no viewers, how are you? I'm doing alright, as good as I can be, I guess. Worked a job recently. I went back to ShopRite again, which if you have by some pre-chance been following me for the last few years, you know that I've worked for this grocery store ShopRite a couple of times as a janitor each time. This time I went in there really feeling like, just really feeling positive. I had my ups and my downs, my moments where I was plagued by anxiety, and then the last few days I had my moments where I felt really fucking confident. And as per usual, one thing went wrong, and my anxiety, I let it take control. And I walked stupidly. It's been about a month now. I'm still kicking myself in the ass. You know, once the fucked up thing about that is you get kind of stuck in the moment. You know, stuck in that state of mind, and it's not easy to break out of it. And you act on impulse, which is what I did. And then when you act on impulse, give or take a couple of days, maybe even a week or two, it depends on the person, you come out of that state of mind, and you realize what you did, and you start shoving your foot up your ass. And that's more or less been me for the last couple of weeks. So, but I don't know, maybe it's for the better. That's my third time working for this company, and I'm kind of like, how many times can you go back to the same company and repeat the same mistake? You know. But I mean, there were a lot of ups and there were a lot of a lot of positives and negatives this time around. Realistically speaking, now that I'm out of that state of mind and I can look back and reflect and realize what I fucked up on, this time around there were more positives than negatives, which is probably partly why I'm kicking myself in the ass so hard. You know, I went in there for maintenance, a janitor, just like the last two times. And they started me off on the morning shift the first week and a half for training. And I'll say I didn't like working the morning shift. I mean, it was nice to get out early in the day. You know, I was coming in 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and getting out at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A couple days they had me in there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 10 o'clock at night. The morning shifts were nice because it was nice to get out. It sucked having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but it was nice to get out by like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. What really sucked about it was the people that I was working with were fucking lazy. And not to sound like an old geezer, but they were younger than me. I mean, I'm 32, and these are people that are anywhere between 20 and 26 years old. You know? I mean, and they just didn't want to do their shit. They didn't want to do their job. Someone would spill something, and they would come to me. It's kind of like, oh, well, he's the newbie. They would come to me and be like, yo, someone spilled something in aisle, blah, 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 blah. Go clean it up. Okay. You know, the first couple times I didn't give a shit. You know, it was what it was. But then after a while I would come back and I would see these people standing up by the courtesy desk or standing by the food court, bullshitting with people just standing there, And again, I would brush it off, whatever. Go about my business, do my job, come back. 15, 20 minutes later, they're still fucking standing there bullshitting. Right? And then, I'm the kind of guy that, especially when it comes to the deli and the food court and meat room, I like to stay on top of shit. I like to change the trash, especially in food court and deli. And this has always been me, all 3 times that I worked for ShopRite. I like to change the trash in food court and deli once every hour and a half to 2 hours. Because the thing about food court and deli, if you wait too long, those cans get fucking full and they get heavy. I mean, they're throwing shit with grease in there. They're throwing chickens in there. They're throwing all kinds of shit in there. So it's good to stay on top of it, in my opinion, because if you don't stay on top of it, when you go to get it, the heavier the bag is going to be. Sometimes it can just be a pain in the ass. Sometimes it can be a pain in the ass with an accident waiting to happen. The one shopper at the first one that I worked at, going back 6 years ago, I remember I went to pull one bag out of the can in the deli, and it had a fucking big pocket of grease at the bottom, and it was so fucking heavy I didn't even have it over the rim of the trash can before the bottom of it just fucking broke, and you got chunks of chicken and grease everywhere, And I was working alone, so I had to run to the back, grab the mop and the bucket, and the powder shit that we use to absorb grease and shit like that. It's a bitch, so it's good to stay on top of shit like that, in my opinion. But according to these motherfuckers, it's not good to do it that often. So I'm doing this shit. I change the trash, and then an hour and a half goes by, and I go to check them again, and this motherfucker's like, "Oh, you just did that. You don't need to do it now." I'm in the middle of changing trash bags that are just about full, and someone's coming over to me and saying, "You don't need to do this right now. You just did it an hour and a half ago." Well, look at the can. It's full. If I leave it be at the state that it's in right now and come back another hour from now, you're going to ditch me and make me do it on my own, and I'm going to have a problem fucking doing it. And that did happen this past time, too. I came in at 7 o'clock the fucking morning. I went to change food court for the first time, and there was one bag that was so heavy. I struggled just getting it out of the can, over the edge of the can, much less dragging it from food court to my fucking trash can that you wheel around the store. And then the trash can that you wheel around the store is so tall, it's so high up, you gotta fucking sling your bags over the edge. Well, this motherfucker was dead weight. There was no slinging this shit over the edge. So I had to call for backup. Of course, nobody fucking came. The manager of food court ended up helping me, and she felt bad for me, and she ended up bitching out my superiors, because I couldn't bitch them out, because I'm brand new. So she did it for me. Shout out to her. I forget what her name was, but she was fucking awesome. And I felt bad because I was brand new, like I said, and I was afraid that people were going to look down on me for that, but hand on my shoulder, she made sure that I knew she wasn't holding it against me, and that she was pissed at my superiors, not me. So, you get shit like that, and it on the morning shift, I hated it. It was nothing but bullshit. The last week that I was there, they had me working later in the day, into the night, and that wasn't so bad. There were a few people that I would come in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 1 or 2 people were there from 9 in the morning until 4. I'd have to deal with them for like 2 hours. And they were a bitch, even though it was just 2 hours. It still fucking sucked. But then, the later crew would come in, and they were good people. They were good workers. They were younger than me, just like the people in the morning. And they liked to fuck around a little bit, which was alright, but they still did their job. They didn't dump everything on me. When it came to training me, they did their part. They were good people, younger or not. These were kids. One of the guys was like, two of the guys really were like 20 and 21. And like I said, they like to fuck around here and there when there's nothing going on. But when there's something going on, they did their shit. So I found in that last week that I enjoyed working later in the day than I did in the morning. Just because the people that I was working with later in the day were better workers. They weren't fucking clowns, for lack of better words. And I was feeling confident at the end. The last few days, everything was going great. And that last night, it just took one stupid fucking thing to throw me off and send me into a spiral. And that's been a consistent thing in my life. Consistent negative, a consistent bad trait that I can't seem to shake. I get tired of it. So I fucked up. I spiraled. That one bad thing that happened. And it wasn't the end of the world. And I could have gotten past it if I'd have just fucking been able to take a breath and clear my fucking head. Here I am. Right back at square one. So, looking for work again. It wasn't all me. Even though I got along better with the night shift and things probably could have been alright if I'd have stuck it out. Transportation was an issue as well. This was a 2-bus ride. About an hour long trip. All in all. You're in Philly, and if you're in Philly, then you know that fucking SEPTA blows. I had to take the 25, and the 25 on the weekends sucks ass, and working in a grocery store like ShopRite, weekends are a given. You can't just walk in there and say, hey, I need weekends off. They're going to laugh in your fucking face. So, that said, especially on Sundays, and Sunday is a big day at a place like this, the 25 sucks horribly. So transportation was an issue too, especially working late into the night. It's even shittier at night, whether it's the weekend or not. So I think that was a big part of why I walked away too, because I can't deal with a trip like that. It's too much for me. I need something closer to where I live. Ideally I would love to go back to Giant. I worked at Giant a couple years ago doing the same thing I did at ShopRite, janitorial. And there were so many more positives with Giant than there were with ShopRite. I only left Giant because I had a lot of shit going on. In my personal life, my grandfather was dying. And I was all he had. This isn't Grandpa that you only see every Thanksgiving or Christmas. This was Grandpa who lived in my basement. His wife and daughter were dead. All of his brothers and sisters were dead. And none of his nieces and nephews had anything to do with him. That was all he had. I was his caretaker. Up until the very end, I was his caretaker. So I left Giant because he got really bad with the cancer. And we knew it was only going to be a matter of time. And I hadn't been at Giant for very long. And because I hadn't been there for very long, I didn't feel like I had the right to say, hey, I need time off. Because I didn't know how long time off was going to be. So I quit. I quit. And I called him a few months after he died, and I said, hey, listen, this is what happened. I didn't handle it the right way. I regret the way that I handled it, and I just want to know if there's a possibility of me coming back, and they straight up said no. And I can't fault them for that. She was like, oh, well, you could have been honest with us, and we would have given you the time off. I said, well, listen, from my point of view, I was only there for 7 months. I didn't have any benefits because I was just a janitor. And I didn't feel like I had the right to say, listen, I need an undetermined amount of time off. Because I hadn't been there that long. You know? But that particular manager we didn't like each other anyway. We didn't get along very well. She was very intimidating. I had issues with her from like week 2 of working there, and a lot of other people in the store didn't like her either. So I think she just said no just because she didn't want me back there. You know, all the other managers were okay with me, especially the store director. I got along great with the store director. If I had spoken with the store director, the conversation might have gone a little bit differently. You know, still might have been a little bit of hesitation, but it might have gone possibly in a more positive direction. Unfortunately, he wasn't there that day when I called, so I don't know. Maybe I'll try again. I've thought about trying again. They're opening a new store nearby, which will be just as close as the one that I worked at before, if not closer. I'm not going to say where, but I might go on there and apply. I think they'll be opening soon, I'm not sure, but it's going to be a big store, big deal, and I'm sure they're going to be hiring out the ass, so I might give it a shot. But yeah, I mean, I fucked up, like I always do, and I regret it. I don't know. I guess the moral of the story here, if you're paying attention, is if you're dealing with mental illness and dealing with anxiety and depression and getting stuck in your head, don't get stuck. No, that's easier said than done. I don't want to say don't get stuck in your head, but don't let it consume you, or try not to let it consume you. If you feel like it's getting to be too much, look for someone to talk to. You gotta have people in your life that can talk you down. You know, when you feel like you're overwhelmed to the point where you're just gonna say to hell with it. And I guess maybe that's part of my issue, is I don't really have anyone that I can turn to and be like, hey, listen, man, this is too much, and I'm afraid I'm gonna fuck up, and I'm just gonna say fuck it and walk away. I don't have anyone that I can say that to and have them turn around and be like, listen, man, just take a deep breath, you know? But I don't know. It sucks, but it is what it is, I guess. I gotta get a grip. I gotta get back out there on the playing field. This is not my first time fucking up. I've fucked up many, many, many times. I'll probably fuck up many, many, many more times. But what I gotta remind myself is that every time I've fucked up in the past, I've pulled myself back on my feet again. Sometimes have been harder than others. Sometimes have been easier than others. Sometimes I got knocked off my feet and I laid on my ass for months at a time before I pulled myself back up again. But I always pull myself back up. And I just gotta keep, reminding myself of that. It's not gonna be any different. I don't know how long it'll take me this time. I'm hoping it won't take me very long this time. But I will get back on my feet again. It's just a matter of time. Cheers, we're almost at 20 minutes here. Longer than I wanted this video to be, but that's always how it goes. Hard to believe it's already September. We just celebrated last week what would have been Mom's 50th birthday. We're coming up in about a week and a half on 7 years since she passed away. 7 long years. That's hard to believe. And next month, October, will be my grandfather's 82nd birthday. 82 years old he would have been. And then I got November, the 1 year anniversary of my best friend's death, Malachi. Yeah. Time goes so fast. I don't want to get too negative though. Everybody have a good night. I think I'm going to order me a Stromboli for dinner tonight. Pick up some more beer, get drunk, and have me a steak Stromboli. Be safe and enjoy your night. Peace.